Hey, Miles Nolan, I'm here today and I'm just excited to be with you. We get so many players, and oftentimes they have so many excuses about every single little thing. For years and years and years, parents have conditioned their kids, and a lot of parents more than others, about something happens, something goes wrong, something their kid did wrong, and their kid gives an excuse. Well, it was my teacher's fault for not assigning the homework. Well, it was my coach's fault for teaching me wrong. That's why I made an error. Well, it was the policeman's fault. I didn't do anything to get arrested. And the parents say, well, it's okay, son. It had to be that coach's fault. It had to be that policeman's fault. It had to be the teacher's fault. It's not your fault. Nothing they ever do is their fault. And not all kids are like this, but a lot of kids are. And a lot more kids than 30 years ago are like this, because nothing is ever their kid's fault to the parents. And so we get these kids and we're trying to coach them. We're saying, hey, you didn't fill that ground ball. You got to get your butt down. Well, it took a bad hop. You got to get that fly ball. Well, the sun was in my eyes. You got to swing at that pitch with 2 strikes. Well, the umpire's strike zone is it's big. It's real big. I can't reach that pitch. And so how are we supposed to teach these kids that constantly have an excuse and never believe they are wrong? And it can be really, really tough to deal with and change this years of conditioning that their parents have just allowed them to make up tons of excuses. And there's a little phrase, it's real quick, that I love, and it's called TOB. It stands for transfer of blame. Okay? TOB, transfer of blame. And that's simply saying, that's an excuse. Okay? So here's what I do. In the last couple of teams I've coached, we've talked about it as a team a couple times, and it's really become a mantra for guys to hold each other accountable. So we'll say, hey, we'll talk to the team, we'll say, guys, I don't want to hear any TOBs. It doesn't matter what it is, even if you think it's not your fault, and a lot of times they will think it's not their fault. You're going to figure it out, okay? You're going to find a way to get it done. You're not going to make excuses. You're going to work through whatever you got. You're going to get help from your teammates. You're going to get it done. And when a coach tells you something, you listen and you take that advice and you use it to get better. And so it was amazing how guys would just pick up on this, and a guy would come back to the dugout and say, man, you know what? Johnny at shortstop, he's not playing any defense. Like, I'm pitching fine. Or whatever it may be, so-and-so didn't go to class. Or, a guy takes a pitch on the outside part that he should have swung at. And guys will say, come on, man, that's a TOB, let's go. And guys would hold each other accountable. And as a coach, it got to the point where I didn't even have to say anything. And that was the culture that was created. It was a culture of toughness, no excuses, and guys were not dropping TOBs, okay? TOBs were out. TOBs was for the other team, because it's a huge problem when you make excuses. You say, well, it's their fault, it's his fault. When nothing is ever your fault, you have no control, you have no room to grow. So how can you get better, okay? The only way you get better is to accept responsibility for your actions. And that's what so many of these kids today do not realize, okay? You have so many of them on your team, and I have some of them on my team. But our job, we have to stop those excuses. We cannot let a kid say, well, it was so-and-so's fault, or I just couldn't see it because of the sun, or this field isn't very good. No, call that kid out, okay? Say, no, if you want to play, you're going to figure this out, okay? It is not the field's fault. It is not the sun's fault. It is not the umpire's fault. You're going to get this done, okay? You're going to be tough enough that no matter what, any situation comes upon you, we're going to get this done. And will creating this type of attitude take a little bit of time? Yeah, it will. But you must constantly stay on kids and give them feedback. Okay? If you just let them drop excuses and don't say anything about it, don't call them out about it, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And sooner or later, you're going to have a bunch of prima donnas on your team that, it's everybody else's fault. But you create that culture, your team will be just a hard-nosed, grinded-out type of team, and you'll win a ton more games. Okay? Give these guys feedback, call them out on their excuses, and don't let them drop any TOBs. Use that phrase or find one you like, but no TOBs. We can do this, we're going to win a ton of games.